You could have the best strategy in the entire world, but if you do not know how to control your behavior and manage your emotions, then you will never be a profitable trader. So the question becomes, how do we go about controlling our behavior and becoming emotionally unreactive in a market that is constantly invoking emotion within us? That's what I'm going to share with you in this video. So first, let's look at some of the common pitfalls that traders fall into. The first, and this is a big one, is overtrading. And this really comes down to impatience. If you can't be a patient person and wait for your setup, then it leads to overtrading because, tying in with fear of missing out, you are scared of missing out on a move. You need to look at trading like surfing. There's all kinds of waves coming, but you're not going to catch every single wave. Each move in the market is not something that you should look at and think, oh, I missed out, just because it moved 50 points to the up or down side. You need to be dialed in on what you're looking for, your specific strategy, and then wait for that to play out. Let me give you this example. Let's say that I have a slot machine in my house, and I allow you to play on this slot machine, but you're only allowed to pull the lever once per week. But every time that you do pull that lever, you know probabilistically you are going to make money. Would you come to my house every week and pull that lever? You probably would, if you knew for a fact that you had the edge. However, if you came to my house and I said, I don't really know, could have an edge, maybe could not, are you still going to come over to my house and pull that lever? Probably not, because it's pretty uncertain, right? So once you've taken the time to backtest your strategy and build your edge that you know has a probabilistic chance of winning over time, why would you start pulling the lever on setups that you really have no idea if they have an edge or not? It comes down to your emotions. You're struggling being impatient because you have that fear of missing out. You feel like I should be trading right now, I should be working, I should be doing something. And that leads you to making bad decisions. Somewhere deep inside yourself, you may think that overtrading is going to lead to faster results and lead to quicker results to where you want to get in your trading, but this could not be further from the truth. In trading, it is kind of a funny game because less is more. The less you do, the more you get. That's what makes trading so hard, because our mind is hardwired to do more, to work harder. And it's really hard to get the mind on board with the fact that actually doing less, you're going to make more money. You see, if I waited 2 weeks for a premium setup, something that was just A++++, everything aligning, and you know when those come, right? I'm sure that you've missed some of those because you were taking other stupid trades and then weren't around or weren't mentally or emotionally prepared for that amazing setup. But let's just say that you did wait for that setup. And instead of taking 5 stupid trades that you risked 1% per trade and lost 5% of your account balance, let's say that you slightly sized up on this premium setup that you waited for 2 weeks and you actually caught a big move in the market. Of course, only if your strategy allows you to catch big moves. For me, I am looking for big moves in the market where my risk is very small, but my winners are very big. Other people do more of a scalping thing, so it really depends on you and your personal strategy. But for the most part, most of the time you're just waiting around. So cultivating this patience within yourself is very important. And you can do this by starting to stay grounded. And what do I mean by staying grounded? Is taking your awareness out of the mind, out of being caught in all the thoughts, and place it on your breath or place it in the body. Become grounded with your present moment experience. And when your awareness starts to get lost back into the mind, recenter yourself into your body or onto your breath. Be aware of the thoughts moving through your head and do not get carried away by them. This is remaining centered in yourself, not getting pulled to this side and then letting the mind take you over here. This is how you remain patient, because instead of acting on emotions of greed, of fear of missing out, on beliefs that by overtrading you're going to make more money, you start to see it for what it is, that these are just thoughts. I can remain centered, I can remain present in this moment, and understand that I just need to focus on following my strategy. I need to focus on the process and everything else will fall into place. The second big trap that traders fall into is being a bad loser. You need to understand that even if your setup is A++++, there is a chance you are going to take a loss on that. There are still probabilities that you're working with. So people fall into the trap of, oh, this is my A++ setup and it's going against me. This should not be happening. You start to place conditions on the market, expectations, and approaching the market with expectations sets you up for failure because it's going to do whatever the hell it wants. You are just trying to have a probabilistic edge in the market. Not to mention, we also hate being wrong. Most people hate making the wrong decision, and even if it's subconsciously, when you take that loss, somewhere inside of you, it starts to create frustration. It starts to create annoyance. And you need to become amazing at dealing with losses. Every time you take a loss, you need to reprogram your brain and say, that's part of the plan. That's part of the strategy. You need to get your brain so on board with, this is going to happen, that when you do take a loss, it's just another day in the life. Because I feel like people, even if it's subconscious, they might know, oh, I could take a loss, but when they get into that trade, they're expecting to win. So by placing these expectations in the market, when it goes against what you're expecting, you get frustrated. So approach a trading day and approach getting into a trade with absolutely no expectations. Just set your stop loss, set your take profit, and say the math is going to work out over time. And so whatever happens in this trade is not up to me, and I have no expectations of what will happen. By having this mindset of indifference between the result, which can only happen if you, by the way, aren't oversized, then you can start to just have that equanimity in the markets, that ability to sit through a loss, take the loss on the head, say it's part of the business plan, I'm going to have expenses, that's completely fine, and move on into the next trading day with confidence, or move on into the next trade. But what happened to me for a long time is I would take that loss, and then the next trade I would get into, it was coming from a little bit more of an emotional place. And I really wanted to make back the money that I had just lost because I had expectations of growing my account. I had already put a predisposition on what I wanted to happen that day, that I wanted the account to grow. And so when it wouldn't go in the direction that I was hoping, when it wasn't meeting my expectations, I would overtrade or try to size up to get it to meet what I hoped would happen. So it's time to drop these things, drop these expectations, because all they're ever going to do is hold you back. And I promise you, if you're trading, then things will not always go your way. So you need to get used to that, and you need to get comfortable with that. You need to get comfortable sitting with pain and being with pain and just allowing it, sitting through it, not letting it affect you. So when you go into the trading day, just focus on the process of trading with no expectations on what should or should not happen. You start to get a lot better at controlling your behavior because now you know that it's just a process. I need to follow this process, and whatever my emotions are doing is not relevant to me following this process. Now just take a moment to take a journal and write down all the things that you know you struggle with for a fact. I struggle with overtrading. I struggle with being patient. I struggle with oversizing. Really work on identifying these things. And when you go into the trading day, really watch for them to happen. Don't go in thinking, oh, I hope this doesn't happen today. Just go in watching for when it does happen, because if you struggle with it in the past, it probably will show up again. So become very good at noticing when your patterns are starting to play out in the moment. Remaining centered, remaining grounded, and then noticing, here it comes. And catch it before it starts to snowball into something much bigger. Because a lot of your worst days could have been stopped early on if you just recognize the pattern that was leading to that bad behavior. So become very, very vigilant and very good at observing, at being mindful, and noticing when these things are beginning to happen. These are some of the ways that you can gain control over your behavior and over your emotional responses to the market. I do offer one-on-one coaching on this material. If you're interested, shoot me an email below and we'll work out a time slot that works for both of us.